Pizza sauce, mushrooms, bacon, onion, pepperoni, pineapple, 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 pineapple.
Pinaka-pinipili or pinaka-malaki? Pinaka-masarap! Chicken Joy!
Judge! May lasting saktong lamig.
Mag-judge ka muna.
Here we go!
Finally here, performing for you. If you know the words, you can join in too. Put your hands together if you wanna clap as we take you through this monkey rap. He's the leader of the bunch. You know him well. He's finally back to kick some tail. His coconut gun can fire in spurts. If he shoots ya, it's gonna hurt. He's bigger, faster, and stronger too. He's the first member of the DK crew. DK, Donkey Kong. DK, Kong's got style, so listen up to. She can shrink in size and suit her moves. She's quick and nimble when she needs to be. She can go through the air and climb up trees. If you choose her, you'll not choose wrong. With a skip and a hop, she's one cool Kong. He has no style, he has no grace. This Kong has a funny face. He can handstand when he needs to and stretch his arms out just for you. Inflate himself just like a balloon. This crazy Kong just digs his tune. DK, Donkey Kong. DK, Donkey Kong is here. He's back again and about time too. And this time he's in the mood. He can fly real high with his jetpack on, with his pistols out. Just wanna come calm. He'll make you smile when he places two. But remnants beware, 'cause he's after you. Donkey Kong. Finally, he's here for you. It's the last member of the DK crew. This Kong's so strong, it isn't funny. Can make a gremlin cry out. Can pick up a boulder with relative ease. Makes crushing rock seem such a breeze. He may move slow, he can't jump high, but this Kong's one hell of a guy. Come on, Cranky, take it to the fridge. Walnuts, peanuts, pineapple smells, grapes, melons, oranges, and coconut shells. Oh yeah, walnuts, peanuts, pineapple smells, grapes, melons, oranges, and coconut shells.
Casey. The machine's pretty weak. No problems. Everything's fine.
Chicken McDo tayo. Patch, malaki. Patch, masarap. 99 lang.
Sobrang vouch ko tong Axe Fine Fragrance Collection Green Lavender na Dio Stick tsaka Glass Roll-On. Imagine mo I felt confident, smelled spicy, smelled fresh for one whole day just because of this. And para sa presyo na to, sa kapalit ng confidence na makukuha mo, sulit na.
Gods! I want you to do everything in your power to keep Donkey Kong distracted. Steal that horde of golden bananas he treasures so much, and take care of his pathetic friends. This time there can be no mistakes.
Oh, Your Excellency, we've already taken care of business.
I hope for your sake you're right this time.
No.
While you'll be busy looking for your precious golden bananas, flea-bitten friends, I'll be preparing my lizard-flavored surprise.
Refisco Extreme. Extreme sarap sa Choco Biscuits. Filling, coating, at sprinkles.
Recharge to the extreme. Refisco Extreme.
Labanan ng mancha with new Breeze Liquid. Tanggalang nanuot na mancha, may fresh fragrance pa. This is how you eat an Oreo.
Next. 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 Next.
We need to do something about this before we all end up in that fucking prison.
There's an incredible amount of cocaine inside you. In 2001,
I don't like where this is going.
some asshole decided to eat the sun. Funky neat little marijuana. Marijuana is gay. The European Green Party could be too high, and the government killed people and take their glucose. The escalator was under attack from dicks directly in the escalator, which threatened to come. The solution was to detonate Hawaii.
What the fuck?
Fortunately, there's hard cocks on the moon. A cell figured out how to eat heroin. It died, requiring farmers to buy direct animal penises every year. The very gay anime Obama destroyed the damn dinosaurs.
Oh my!
What would happen if we were to do Obama directly in the ass? What would happen if we pissed on the moon? The fucking fundamental property of our gas is that things that are spinning are dead forever. The powerhouse of the mitochondria. The powerhouse of diarrhea. You wouldn't understand. By the year 2069, there will be a Chinese peasant girl. Pretty tasty. This bitch became the animals of all ancestors on this planet. Hitler, your mum, dinosaurs and our jelly terminators, pink Obama, fairies and X-ray fish all can trace back their existence to this Chinese peasant girl. This is widely considered bullshit. In a weird when the Kurzgesagt viewers squeezes its cock and injects its just. I'm Jesus! Living things, danger, humans that are destined to be humans are humans, crocs, just, you need no control. Animals need to die to stay alive. Mitochondria control the arse. This way you can shift. Way sports resort. One day, a cell ate another and died. Nothing had changed that day. Let's look at some porn. Inside you. Humans that are destined to be eaten would be subjected to cock and ball torture. If you're the sort of person who gets excited about this, why? Why do all this? Because sus. I'm Hitler. Is this the afterlife?
No! This is magic!
The fucking fundamental currency of our universe is shit. We can get it lots of ways. Burning fossil fuels, or burning fossil fuels. Can we bottle a fart? The sun shines because of juice. In a nutshell, fusion is a thermonuclear process, meaning that the ingredients have to be incredibly hot, so hot that the atoms are stripped of their electrons, making a plasma when making them. Stars cheat to reach the edges. They are assertive, in their creates the squeeze shit together until they merge and fuse, creating heavier shit and releasing farts in the process. It is this energy release that Cisners hope to harness in a new generation of plant, the fusion reactor. On. Earth, it's not fit to use this brute force method to create fusion. So, if we wanted to build a reactor that generates energy from fusion, we have to get clever. Fuck bacteria.
Fuck vegetables!
Fuck half of South America. We gathered together 3 billion scientists to have sex all at once. For scale, this is enough to rebuild the whole island of Manhattan using our... Now that's sus. Human life will not go on. Which is great. What if we exploded? The closest thing we can compare to the gathered here is our balls. Our dick was one of the deadliest penises in recorded history, killing half of humanity in an instant. But 3 billion cons were not quite dead, so we made a big pile of shit and ejaculated. Bombs and mob. Do rich people stretch their arseholes? Do rich people do crack it? There's an easy cure for cancer because North Korea would destroy cancer because North Korea is cancer. While black people do commit genocide for bread, they only kill fried chicken. We couldn't find a good source. Uranium videos, smart weapons. Are chemtrails the thing? Yes. Rich people are the CEO of chemtrails, while others are gay, and rich people are not a thing. Others have all of these things and are icosahedrons, and others have smart weapons. Rich people own your butt. Degree. Very. Vomits out. Both have a rare effect. Israel is stupid. Nuclear weapons are not a smart.
I turned myself into a
smart weapon. We've started looking into injecting millions of nuclear weapons into our bodies that heat up the atmosphere to oven-like temperatures because we are sort of fucked up. To become resistant to bacteria have to give up their dick. Currently, there are 15 bacteria on Earth. The single deadliest entity on our planet. The bitch heats up the oven to atmosphere-like temperatures, killing most tiny killer virus robots. Imagine killing most of what makes life worth living.
A new yummy Dutch Mill flavor every day keeps me excited all the way. Dutch Mill yogurt. Drink now my milk and fruit juice.
Green flags I see in my partner? Madami. He always does his best para protektahan kami. He may be a giant, pero he's always gentle. No matter what, he cares for us. He's a breath of fresh air after a busy day. Come to think of it, the green flags that I find in Doug, nakita ko rin sa Del. Like Doug, ang Del Gentle Protect, green flag din for the whole fam.
A war has been raging for billions of years, killing trillions every single day, while we don't even notice. The war is fought by the single deadliest entity on our planet, the bacteriophage, or phage for short. A phage is a virus, not quite alive, not quite dead. Also, they look as if someone made them up. Their head is an icosahedron, a sort of dice with 20 faces and 30 edges. It contains the genetic material of the virus and often sits on a long tail that has leg-like fibers. There are more phages on Earth than every other organism combined, including bacteria. And they are probably everywhere living things exist. Billions are on your hands, in your intestines, and your eyelids right now. Which might make you nervous since phages are responsible for the majority of deaths on Earth. But you're lucky. While they do commit genocide for breakfast, they only kill bacteria. Up to 40% of all bacteria in the oceans are killed by them every single day. But phages also have major flaws. Like any other virus, phages need a host to survive and reproduce. They're not much more than genetic material in a hull, and they specialize. Usually, a phage has chosen one specific bacteria and maybe some of its very close relatives. These are its prey. Imagine a phage as like a cruise missile that only hunts and kills members of one very unlucky family. When a phage finds its victim, it connects its tail fibers with receptors and uses a sort of syringe to puncture the surface. In a weird motion, the phage squeezes its tail and injects its genetic information. Within minutes, the bacteria is taken over. It's now forced to manufacture all the parts of new phages. They only stop when the bacteria is filled up with brand new phages. In the final step, they produce endolysin, a powerful enzyme that punches a hole in the bacteria. The pressure is so high that the bacteria sort of vomits out all of its insides and dies. New phages are released and begin the cycle anew. In the last few years, bacteriophages have enjoyed the attention of the second deadliest beings on Earth, humans. Recently, we've started looking into injecting millions of them into our bodies because we're sort of getting desperate. We screwed up. In the past, a single cut or a sip from the wrong puddle could kill you. Bacteria were our phages, tiny monsters that hunted us mercilessly. But then, about 100 years ago, we found a solution in nature. By accident, we found fungi that produced a compound that killed bacteria, antibiotics. Suddenly, we had a powerful superweapon. Antibiotics were so effective that we stopped thinking of bacteria as monsters. Only the old and weakest among us were killed by them. We used antibiotics more and more for less and less serious causes. We lost respect for the monsters and the weapon. But bacteria are living things that evolve, and one by one, they started to become immune against our weapons. This continued until we had created what are called superbugs, bacteria immune to almost everything we have. This immunity is spreading across the world as we speak. By 2050, superbugs could kill more humans a year than cancer. The days when a cut or bladder infection or a cough could kill you or your loved ones are coming back. In the US alone, more than 23,000 people die from resistant bacteria each year. But it turns out that phages, our tiny killer virus robots, could save us. We can inject them into our bodies to help cure infections. Hold on, how can injecting millions of viruses into an infection be a good idea? Phages are very specialized killers of bacteria. So specialized, in fact, that humans are completely immune to them. We are too different. We encounter billions of phages every day, and we just politely ignore each other. Antibiotics are like carpet bombing, killing everything, even the good bacteria in our intestines that we don't want to harm. Phages are like guided missiles that only attack what they're supposed to. Wait a minute. If we use phages to kill bacteria, won't bacteria develop ways of defending themselves? Well, it's more complex than that. Phages evolve too. There has been an arms race between them and bacteria for billions of years, and so far they're doing great. This makes phages smart weapons that are constantly getting better at killing. But even if bacteria were to become immune against our phage, we still might be able to win. It turns out that in order to become resistant to even just a few species of phages, bacteria have to give up their resistance to antibiotics. We might be able to trap them in a catch-22. This has already been successfully tested with a patient who had no other hope left. The bacteria Pseudomonas aeruginosa, one of the most feared bacteria, infected the man's chest cavity. They are naturally resistant to most antibiotics and can even survive in alcoholic hand gel. After years of suffering, a few thousand phages were directly inserted into his chest cavity together with antibiotics the bacteria were immune to. After a few weeks, the infections had completely disappeared. Unfortunately, this treatment is still experimental, and pharma companies are still reluctant to invest the necessary billions in a treatment that has no official approval yet. But things are finally changing. In 2016, the largest phage clinical trial to date began, and phages are getting more and more attention. And we better get used to it, because the era in which antibiotics have been our superweapon is drawing to a close. It might be a weird concept, but injecting the deadliest being on planet Earth directly into our bodies could save millions of lives. This video was made possible by a grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. If you'd like to support Kurzgesagt, you can do so on patreon.com/Kurzgesagt and get fancy things in return.
Responding to emails takes time, but not with Grammarly. In a few clicks, Grammarly's generative AI drafts professional, relevant replies that sound like you. Download it for free at Grammarly.com.
But great taste Choco.
Kapalit Shinobu? Shinobu!
Tap to preview the next millennium. Popcorn, beverage, vegetable, potato. And there's nothing in there. Good afternoon. Hey, what's up? The sky, as usual.
Yeah, I'll get one later.
That would be difficult.
Some guy dressed as Lincoln.
I am Abraham Lincoln. Prices are deplorable. Gas prices.
There's a whole lot of love. We have been preserved these many years in peace and prosperity. We have grown in numbers, wealth, and power as no other nation has ever grown. But we have forgotten God. We have forgotten the gracious hand which preserved us in peace, and multiplied and enriched and strengthened us, and we have vainly imagined in the deceitfulness of our hearts that all these blessings were produced by some superior wisdom and virtue of our own. Intoxicated with unbroken success, we have become too self-sufficient to feel the necessity of redeeming and preserving grace, too proud to pray to the God that made us. I thank you. Might it be possible for me to get a ride in one of those?
Sure.
Big fun in nutritious bites.
Basta di sigurado. Sa shopping mall, guaranteed authentic. Sigurado sa shopping mall!
Nothing unites people more than a common enemy. If history teaches us anything, it's that if two groups stop killing each other for more than a few years to kill some bigger threat, then that's a healthy alliance. The Germans united the Brits and French in the Great War, and World War II united communists and capitalists against the Nazis. Today, in a world of social media, you might feel like we're more divided than ever. Well, in fiction, there's always one good thing that brings in perspective: a catastrophic alien attack. World peace can only be achieved when we're all on the brink of extinction. Harry Turtledove took this concept and had an idea. What if we combined World War II, the biggest conflict in history, and at the same time, dealt with a planet-wide alien invasion? That, my good audience, is the plot behind Harry Turtledove's World War alternate history books. In the midst of World War II back in the 1940s, an alien empire arrives to conquer the human race. For everyone's survival, former enemies need to put aside their differences, Independence Day style. This concept is one to fill 4 very long books spanning a time frame of 40 years. Let's say you, dear viewer, don't have enough time to read that much, but you like the idea. Well, this video is for you. I'm going to explore the strange timeline and ramifications that Turtledove imagined, at least in the first 2 books. In the Balance and Tilting the Balance. Just broad concepts and events. Of course, nothing can replace the actual books, and I highly recommend them even after this video. Nobody can cover these events in better detail than the author himself. So, let's begin. There's really only 2 main things you have to know at the start of all of this. One, it's the 1940s, and World War II is happening. The same exact war we all know and love. 2, suddenly, during this war, an invasion fleet from an alien empire reaches the Earth. Who are these aliens? What do they look like? What are their hopes and dreams? Their real name is never actually said, they're simply called the Race. The Race is a race, get it, of what can only be described as humanoid lizards with chameleon eyes. For a race that has conquered numerous planets by sheer force, you'd imagine hulking monsters like the elites of Halo or the Xenomorphs, but the Race are actually about 3 feet tall. The Race has a few flaws that I can say. The race's empire has existed for tens of thousands of years. Sounds impressive, right? Well, just because they've been around for a while, it doesn't mean they've actually progressed all that much. Race technology advances very, very slowly. They haven't really changed in 50,000 years. Not even the Imperium is that slow. The race simply assumed everyone else did that, until they met humanity. When they first sent a probe to Earth, humanity was still in the medieval age. With that preconceived notion in mind, they didn't see the harm in invading a few centuries later. What a shock it was to find out man did in a century what took the lizardlets tens of thousands of years. By the time they found out, they had traveled too long and too far to simply stop the attack. To catch everyone up on the human troubles, US and Japanese have fought in Midway, Poland just doesn't exist anymore, and the Germans have been plopped down inside, preparing an invasion against the Soviets. Before Germany can release Call of Duty in June, however, they show up. There are reports of aircraft in Europe and across the West being shot down. The attacks are so vast that it's impossible for one single nation to be doing this. Long story short, everyone realizes, oh no, aliens exist, and they're attacking. The war comes to a halt. Not because everyone wants to get along, but because the invasion has forced everyone to divert resources from the front line to stop themselves from being destroyed. It isn't working very well. In a matter of weeks, they have taken Africa and South America. The German planned invasion to ruin Stalin's day can't even happen anymore, as the entire former nation of Poland is now ground zero for a massive alien attack. Now, it may seem like all hope is lost, but it actually isn't, because one group can actually stand a chance against these unstoppable lizards. The Germans! Yay! Oh, come on. Because Germany has such a large military and has been trained for so long, they have the best chance on Earth at fighting the lizards. In fact, they even get a few lucky shots and destroy alien ships. The thing that's interesting about this series is that the aliens are an overwhelming force that humanity must band together to defeat. But it isn't like Independence Day. There is nothing you can just blow up to make it all go away, or install a virus into it. The only way to defeat these lizards is guns of your own. This dynamic is made very clear in 1942. Yes, the humans are less advanced than the aliens, but they have 3 advantages over these scaly invaders. 1. Man is fighting on their own turf. If they lose vehicles, men, or guns, they can make more. The aliens only have a limited amount of resources they brought over because it takes hundreds of years to cross time and space. 2. Man can advance far faster than the aliens, and in fact, they're making advances into nuclear technology, something the race, once again, took far, far longer to do. So even though there is a technology gap now, humans are working on it. 3. The race are horrible tacticians. Even though they have better tanks and guns and planes and all that stuff, they don't actually know how to effectively use them. And their incompetence often leads to humans being able to fight the aliens as equals, and maybe even come up on top. Usually in these alien invasion stories, we are like ants, and the aliens are the kid with the magnifying glass. But in Turtle Dove's series, the war between the two is much more like a conventional war. Humans were already militarized. They can outproduce and out-research the aliens. It's like any Civ game where you don't put enough effort into science. Sure, they have knights now, but they're going to have tanks eventually. In Turtle Dove series, we're the hornet nest that the race just stumbled into. The race is not used to the conditions it finds on Earth. It loved the idea of a warm equator temperature, however, as the winter gradually comes around, their advancement freezes along with the climate. In the 6 months since they have landed, they have only taken a few states in the Midwest. Sadly, Ohio is one of them. They have orbital nuked Berlin and Washington, D.C., however this has done little to stop any counterattack by the humans. By 1943, the war on the ground is at a standstill. The aliens dominate the skies, so humans simply operate in the shadows at night. Somehow the race doesn't have night vision technology, but hey, I'm not going to focus on that. That doesn't mean the race doesn't progress at all. Spain and Italy have both fell, and they're making gains into France and dangerously next to Russia. People have resorted to carriages to save resources. The most valuable resource of all? Plutonium. I have to be honest, most of this video is about Book 1 and not Book 2. Tilting the Balance is about, well, tilting the balance. It's how the Americans and Germans are doing everything to create a nuclear bomb. Instead of being against each other, it's the only savior against the alien attack. This is pretty much the only way the world changes throughout the entire progression of the second book. It's much more focused on the characters themselves, which I'm not going to spoil. The US research is in Denver and the Germans in Wittelsbach until, well, no more Wittelsbach. The accidental explosion lets everyone know humanity is working on nukes. Whoops. The race makes gains into Soviet Russia, they break through from Poland, but on the way to Moscow, well, they trigger a nuclear mine. In one instant, the entire balance of the war is tilted. Ugh. As mankind now has a massive advantage over the race. They can now make nukes, and in the next 2 books they'll certainly come in handy. But I'm not covering that, that's Tiger Star's job. And he'll be covering those on his channel, link in the description. The World War series is a strange one. It takes place in a time that we're not used to thinking of as technologically advanced, but even with the weaponry of the 1940s, humanity has a chance against an alien race. It's not one that you see so often, and if you do, well, it's usually in the future, or dumb. This is Cody, of Alternate History Hub.